for us to note my third point, that as we speak today, Finance Bill 2024 is the law. It automatically became law on July the 18th, after 21 days had expired from the time that the president or Ruto purportedly rejected it. It has not been repealed by the National Assembly. And we have not had Ruto or anybody or any of the leaders at the National Assembly say that there is an intention to repeal it. Therefore, we have to say all the people Ruto has killed so far will not get justice until all the grievances for which they participated at the protests are addressed. And that starts with Ruto himself. My fifth point is Ruto has no tenure. He has no security of tenure. Professor Migaya has tenure at the University of Nairobi as a distinguished professor of law. But university, because I think he's a distinguished professor, and once you're a distinguished professor, you're a professor of everything. But Ruto has no tenure. The 5 years that Kenyans delegated to him the power to govern, not to rule, was a temporary delegation. It was not a permanent delegation. The delegated power was withdrawn on the 25th of June, and Ruto stands popularly impeached by the people. Therefore, he is legitimately in power, and all the threats he's issuing against the people are an aggravation to the grievances that we had when the people took to the streets and declared that they had withdrawn their delegated power to him. Therefore, Ruto's declaration of war on the people is a declaration of war on all Kenyans, and it's a declaration of war on the Constitution of Kenya, which vests the power to recall him as their delegated leader back to where they want him, home. We want unity of purpose. We want people to realize that no matter our differences, and these differences could be generational, these differences could be ideological, these differences could be intellectual, these differences could be gender, these differences could be tactical or strategic. We have to realize that the only thing that must unite us, and unite us now, is that all Kenyans feel that Ruto has offended them to a point that it cannot be cured. The looting of the country has reached a stage where it having them apprehended, charged, and tried and convicted, and then sentenced, and the properties they have looted repatriated, is recycling them. We have Chirchir reappointed to a bigger ministry than where he looted before. And remember, this man started looting at the Interim Independent Electoral Commission. He was involved in the Chicken Gate. Then he graduated to the Ministry of Energy. And the former despot Uhuru fired him because of corruption. But Ruto felt, in his lack of wisdom, that this is the man he needed in the same ministry where he had been fired for corruption. And he continued to be corrupt. And he was recently fired for corruption. Then Ruto brings him back. That shows you that Ruto is irredeemable. There is no discussion, no dialogue, or any kind of reprieve or anything that will change this man. He thinks that after he has killed a number of Kenyans and abducted them and disappeared them, that he has scared the Gen Zs and the millennials and the patriotic revolutionaries who have been facing him every week on the street. And the time has come when we should demonstrate to Ruto through action that we are not backing down. How do we do that? My humble submission is that we should have marathon daily demonstrations and protests. And these daily marathon demonstrations should take place all over the country. Whether on Tuesday, some of the patriots will head to JKIA, others must head elsewhere. Because if you all head to JKIA, he will marshal his goons to JKI only. Then we will leave the rest of the country for him to roam about and to threaten us. We have to scatter his goons everywhere. As many people are heading towards JKIA, many people must head to Parliament Square and Arambe House and the CBD and occupy all of it. Occupy everywhere should have meaning. When patriots in Mombasa, in Nyanza, in Western, at the coast, at all and in all counties, gather in large numbers, wear Ruto's goons down until he falls. The last thing I would like to say is in answer to the three, I believe there were 3 or 4 people that asked questions before I conclude. Number 1, Simon Gathoni said, police are not our friends. We also have weapons. We can use them. Maj was right. Yes, police of Kenya have demonstrated, at least the majority of them, that they are not our friends, that they are serving a tyrant and they are harming us. And it is not in our place to fall into the trap of arming ourselves to confront them. Because when you do that, you may have to form an army to fight them. We don't have time. We don't have the resources. We don't have the arms. They will just pick us one at a time, and it will actually serve their interest in the sense that they can now say we are violent, we are chaotic, we are anarchists, and the world and the press will more than happily champion that trumpet. We cannot give them that. We have to remain peaceful. We have to remain organized. We have to remain fearless. And it is through that we are going to wear them down. Just like many other countries have gained and won a revolution peacefully by being unarmed. They did so in France in 1789. They did so in Sweden in 1809. They did so in Norway in 1814. They did so in the Netherlands in 1848. They did so in Austria in 1918. They did so in Turkey or Turkey in 1923. There was a mixture of that and armed struggle in Cuba in 1959. They did so in Portugal in 1974. They did so in Bahrain in 1971. They did so in Spain in 1978. They did so in Philippines in 1986. They did so in South Korea in 1987. They did so in Poland, where it was basically the workers protesting continuously for years in 1988. They did so in the Czech Republic in 1989. They did so in East Germany in 1989. They did so in Romania in 1989. They did so in Indonesia in 1998. They did so in Serbia in the year 2000. They did so in Georgia the year 2003. They did so in Nepal in 2006. They did so in Myanmar with mixed results in 2011 because the military eventually overthrew the revolutionaries. But they succeeded in 2011. They did so in Ukraine in 2014. And they recently did so in the Philippines again. And this history of resistance has always resulted in the country becoming more developed, more prosperous, more industrialized, and the standard of living of the people have always been better from the regime that was replaced. So we can do it too. People were asking me on X, oh, Miguna, all the examples you've given are not in Africa. Kenya is going to be the first African country to do it. We can be the first. Why shouldn't we? All these countries and peoples that I have listed were not born in Pluto. They were not in Jupiter. They were on planet Earth. And so we can do it too. The next question was by Plusman. Memoranda to a president that has been impeached, a president that Kenyans have recalled, is not necessary. No, we are not going to have a memoranda to any president, the illegitimate president Ruto. Our memoranda and memorandum is on the streets of the Republic of Kenya. He knows what the problems are. And of course, he cannot address them because he's a pathological liar. He's a narcissist. He's become a tyrant. Godfather asked about Occupy JKIA, and I believe I've already answered that question. Then he also raised the issue of Uhuru Park. I would discourage all of us from going to Uhuru Park. Why? It is fenced. It is secure. It is a trap. Once you go to Uhuru Park and they surround you, they can butcher people without any restraint. And there is not much impact you will do at Uhuru Park. In fact, they can let you do your thing there for 1 year and it will not affect anybody. The purpose of occupying public spaces is not just to make sure that we speak to Ruto and his thugs in one voice loudly, but to disrupt everything, to disrupt transport, to disrupt business, to disrupt all activities in the country. That's the language he understands. Ruto understands the language of money and business. He understands the language of how he's going to be perceived abroad, the handlers that he has as the IMF. You saw that the IMF already released a statement trying to appear contrite when they have not withdrawn fully their punitive economic programs that Ruto is trying to impose on us. Josephine asked, should we amend the Constitution of Kenya? The answer is no. We should not amend the Constitution of Kenya. We should implement it fully. We cannot amend something that has not been fully implemented. The Constitution of Kenya is the one giving us the right to occupy the streets, to impeach Ruto, to recall him, to say that he has lost legitimacy and he must go. If we pay attention to the alleged call to amend or whatever, we will be being sidetracked, like Raila Odinga, the conman, tried to do with Uhuru Kenyatta in 2022, when they brought us the poisonous chalice, BBI. We should not fall into that trap. We want our constitution implemented in full. Now, she also said, would it eradicate levels of corruption? The constitution would not eradicate anything. As it is right now, the constitution already proclaims itself and provides for a governance that is not corrupt. But of course, it is individuals, human beings, that are not enforcing it, especially Chapter 6, and continue to be corrupt. If you do not punish the corrupt, you will never eliminate corruption. And you cannot punish the corrupt if you have corrupt people in power. So we must remove all of them. Then she talked about priorities, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. No, our priority should remain one. Ruto must go. You see, when you have such a clear, simple, singular priority, nobody will be able to confuse it. You cannot give Ruto demands 1, 2, 3, 4 when you want him to go. You don't expect him to be the one who is making changes. We don't want reforms. We want a complete, total revolution, an overhaul of the entire system. Let me finish, and I'm sorry to have gone on for a while, with what Frederick Douglass said. Frederick Douglass was an African-American writer, preacher, abolitionist, orator, anti-slavery activist. And he said, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Those who profess to favor freedom and yet depreciate agitation are men, and he meant also women, who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want rain without thunder and lightning. They want the ocean without the awful roar of its many waters. This struggle may be moral, may be a moral one, or it may be a physical one, or it may be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, and it never will. I drop the mic.
Thank you so much, Dr. For your submission and also for answering all those questions that participants had posed. And now we're going to welcome Gerald Teach.
Is anybody hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you. We could hear you. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hillary, can you check if...
Yeah, Dr. You can hear me?
Okay.
Dr. You can drop and come
back. Yeah,
okay,
so
fine.
Hillary, please sort him out, but let him know that we had everything that he said. Yeah, so as we proceed to Gerald Teach, I would like to encourage us to also... Oh, somebody muted everyone by mistake. I've now unmuted. I was saying, okay.
Maj, did anybody hear me, or was I talking to myself?
We had everything.
We had.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think Gerald just dropped Hillary, if you can check with her. So, but I was about to say that before she proceeds or the next speaker proceeds, we need to also not forget to build the network by following each other, because that's the only way that when we want to share information, we can keep sharing and, getting informed or getting to know what is going on. So, Tom, you're next. 2 minutes each.
Thank you, and I greet all Kenyans in the name of your ancestors. Well, I just want to still ask the general some questions, because in the nature of the conversation that I've seen that he's there, normally he is open to take questions. First, considering his suggestion that we need to implement the constitution without necessarily considering amending it, what suggestion do you have, or how do you think we can be able to meet the 2/3 gender rule, which is a provision in the constitution? And unfortunately, even right now, the parliament did not meet that requirement. In Article 27, Clause 8 and Article 81, Clause B of the Constitution talks about that for both legislative and generally the parliament, so that we meet that. Your suggestion. Number two, I'd like to seek your advice. What advice or lessons can you give the Gen Z leaders who are currently in the forefront of these protests? Another question that I would like to ask is that what is your general vision post success in this revolution? Because I agree with you that indeed we need to win this revolution and we need a total overhaul of the system. Finally, if you may, would you advise, or how can we consider this movement to effectively utilize decentralized organization to maintain momentum and achieve its goals. Because in my opinion, I really would wish us to not necessarily go without a proper organization. I believe we are leaderless, but my perspective, we are leaderful, because most of us who does whatever we are doing, and I believe we do it right most of the time, we are self-motivated. So I believe we are leaderful, but not leaderless. But I suggest we better be more organized. What is your perspective with regards to that decentralized, organized movement? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom. Let's have Six next, and Dr. Mwakawasi and Professor Migaya Kit, should you want to chime in between also, just feel free to open your mic or raise your hand and I'll see that. Six, please, we're going 2 minutes each. Over to you.
Me as I just came here to tell these innocent Kenyans that it's time to take back this country. As I always say, on Tuesday, we are all marching to Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and there are numbers. So as a people, we should come out. We should not sit online and say, let them go to Amke. Tuende. Personally, I said I've not been in church in 11 years, and today I went to church to confirm if there is any MP who went there or any leader, so that I can condemn them. So guys, on Tuesday, let us turn out in numbers and to take this country back. You had Ruto threatening us on in Bomet, and that is the leader that we have. It's so unfortunate we have such a man as our. I don't like him, and he's not my president as much as I'm concerned. So I'm just here to rally everyone. Let's turn out in numbers, and I said I'll always stay loyal to this cause until the last day. And even if I die, I'm not afraid to die. And I'll be on the forefront on Tuesday. I'm not just coming here to speak, then I don't act. I've been in all the demonstrations since they started. And on Tuesday, I'll be on the forefront. And I said, there is no money that will buy me as an individual, because I've made enough money to sustain me for the next 10 to 15 years currently. And what I want is a better country where my parents, my children are going to enjoy life. Right now, I have a patient who has cancer but cannot be treated because hospitali za ushago haziwezi mtreat. I have to always bring that patient to Nairobi each and every day, because it's only Kenyatta Hospital that can handle this. So what kind of nonsense is that? Yesterday I was informed the governor of Busia, a very close friend to my dad, has employed all his friends from Karen, yet hakuna watu wa Busia wana kazi. And that has to keep happening daily. Okia Omtata, the one we call a saint here, ameandika his close friend as his PA, who is a very corrupt man. And these are things we have to get and learn daily. So I'll say this, whatever Tom said, we will have a plan when we cross that bridge. So let's right now go take back our country. When we reach there, we have a constitution, and Kenya is a democratic country, and we will know we'll find the right footing after we've dealt with this rogue system. Thank you much.
Thanks, Six. Can I assume that you listened to what Dr. was saying the whole time? Had you already joined? Because he recommended that the protests be spread, but that people should not go to Uhuru Park because it's like fenced and would. I just want to be sure that you had that.
Yeah, I had, and that's why I say we are occupying Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
Okay, I was just confirming. Yeah. Okay.
Uhuru Park is not important. Uhuru Park is just some sort of some sort of a park. If you go into a park or you get into a house and a fire starts burning, it will burn you all down. You'll be suffocated. JKIA is in the open. People can find their way and people can occupy. That is where the economy of the country lies. Those in Mombasa are occupying Moi Airport. They are occupying Kenya Ports Authority. In Kisumu, we are occupying this, is it Jomo Kenyatta Airport? In Eldoret, there is an airstrip there. That is what we are doing. We are occupying all this where the economy of the country lies. Tukimaliza hiyo ni CBK.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And please, as you go out there, remain peaceful and be watchful and don't give power to the oppressors where they can come back and say, you know, they were beating us and that's why we had to shoot them. Thanks again for joining. So now we go to Biril. Biril, over to you. Biril cannot hear me. So Komwanza and then African origin, and Jerotich has just shared that she's settling and then she's going to come back. Komwanza, then African origin, 2 minutes each.
Thank you much. Thank you, everybody. I'll begin with a question to Dr. Miguna. It's very much evident right now that we cannot depend on the goodwill of the president to resign. The president is not altruistic enough, he's not selfless enough to do that. I think history bears me out on that. In 2007, 2017, 2022, we've seen him, so we cannot rely on his goodwill. But then we are pushing this hashtag and we are all determined to say Ruto must go. I still haven't found somebody who can outline the step-by-step process of removing him from power when he remains obstinate. Because we have ruled out violence and let's say the pressure does not work. What other practical steps can be taken to remove the president from power lawfully? Number two, I listened to the president when he made his remarks today. I will say that when a hyena wants to eat its children, it first gives them a bad name. The president called the participants in the movement anarchists. He earlier called them treasoners. And this should warn us how the establishment intends to crack down on free speech, the freedom to assemble, as well as the right to protest. But I would just urge everybody to not be scared, do not be afraid. We can expect that in the coming days, perhaps the state will use its machinery to pick up bloggers, protesters, and etc., and charge them with various crimes in the Penal Code and possibly in the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act. But I would call upon all my colleagues who are lawyers to perhaps take some of these cases pro bono. We must push back against state excesses. That is the duty we owe ourselves and to posterity. Thank you so much and God bless.
Thanks, Komwanza, for keeping the time. Hilary, do you want to say something before African continues?
No, not really. Jarate, she's already with us. She's coming back.
Okay, great. So you've had... If you need help somewhere, so not title, but handle. If you need a lawyer and you cannot find a lawyer, feel free to inbox.
You went.
You think somebody had taken me off here. It happens.
All right.
So I was just saying, guys, Komwanza is offering pro bono services as a lawyer, and I believe he's going to also speak to other friends who are lawyers. So do check his profile and inbox him when you need help. But I would also like to emphasize that people inbox with genuine information, because otherwise if you have false information coming on board and people are saying my friend has disappeared but they haven't, it really wastes a lot of time and it discourages those who are helping. African, over to you, and thanks Komwanza for that.
Okay, thank you very much, the panelists and everyone who's here. My condolences to those who lost their lives and much quick recovery wishes to those who got hurt in the process, in this important process of getting back our country to the right track, because it's long overdue. In my opinion, we haven't done anything ever since we got out of the colonial rule. The country was handed back over to the neo-colonial puppets, the ones who are actually calling the shots in most important organizations, most important posts in the country. And this is what's driving this cause, the anger. It's about this. It's something that has been living in us for a very long time. Okay, I just have like 5 points to put across quickly, and I hope that Daktari Comrade Miguna Miguna, long live, will weigh in on some of the points that I'm going to put forward very quickly. They talk about leaders. A lot of people have mentioned about having leaders. In my opinion, we are not yet here. Somebody mentioned about, we'll talk about this when we get there. This actually is creating a sense of confusion. It's creating among us. And the enemy should not see our weakness, should not see the fault lines amongst us. And this talk of leaders at the moment is a good call, yes, but not the right timing. So Miguna spoke about priority. We need to prioritize, and we can utilize like this X spaces to constantly and regularly update ourselves and speak in one voice and kind of have one direction. Because this talk of leaders, we have noticed that we have this enemy is infiltrating it, and they are talking. We have a lot of propaganda coming up to divide the cause. So we don't have space for division now. We have space, or the only option we have at the moment is focusing on the goal, which is taking back our country. Number 2, we have one Makwasi from the diaspora who spoke about resources. I'm also in the diaspora. And maybe also Comrade Miguna will speaker. The issue with resources we are having is about accountability and putting these resources to use. And who are the question we need to ask ourselves, who are the right people to handle these resources? We are very much okay. For me, I've tried to look through whom can I be able to actually mobilize my resources towards and have them utilize it accordingly. We have those young guys who needs utilities here and there to facilitate the whole process. It's not an easy process. It's taking too much of their effort, too much of their energy, and we need some kind of resources to help mobilize and give them a positive attitude towards the cause. So maybe we can discuss on how are we going to mobilize our resources, the resources that we are actually capable. A lot of people are ready, a lot of people are willing, but you get some question marks in the behind the scenes, and you tend to ask yourself, is this actually true or false?
Please try to land so that we can also give other speakers time. Remember, our time limit is 2 minutes, and you said like you have 5 points which you wanted to.
Thank you. I'll just combine the 3 more points to put across. Please allow me. Sorry, my apologies. Remember, this is also a revolution here on Earth. So let's put all our efforts, and I'm very much willing to give each and everyone time to add. Anyway, this cause, if we are not able to mobilize our wherever place you're going to occupy, be it JKIA, be it state house, be it parliament, be it anywhere we are talking about, we have to have numbers. Numbers are very important to mobilize. In fact, if we delay this, it's going to give the enemy power to restructure, to reorganize. It should not take us 1 week before this person steps down. And if we have the numbers, I agree that also we have we need to avoid Uhuru Park, but also we need numbers. We need to have some soldiers over there. We have to occupy every inch of the CBD, every inch of the economy, so that the despotic regime can have the pressure, can feel the pressure. This, if we just have small patches of people, we are not going to succeed in this. We'll go to JKIA and will not succeed in that if we are lacking numbers. So numbers are very important. And then some also the general spoke about the constitution pending and our alliance with the IMF and all these organizations that are out to finish African countries. So we need to speak about implementation of the constitution and also cutting down on the salaries and all these unnecessary seats that we have on in our country. So thank you very much. Sorry for wasting your time. Viva.
Viva. No, that was not time wasted. We're just trying to manage the time so that at least more people can get to speak. Thank you so much, African. I would like to, moving forward, just share that, of course, there are many points that we agree with when other speakers have spoken already. But let's avoid repetition so that at least we have, new fresh points coming in. With that, I'd like to give the mic to Hannah Ali, then Kenyan lady. Hannah?
Asante, Emaj, Hillary, Daktari Miguna, everybody who's on the platform, Wakenya wote hamjambo, na watarajia kila na heri popote mlipo. Yangu si mengi, to be honest, much. A lot has been covered, and a lot have been said, lakini yangu ni machache. Kwanza maswali moja nataka pia nimalizie, nimuulize daktari. Mi nishindwa huyu Zakayo alipokuwa anapatiana speech ansema he done everything ambao tumemuuliza. Mbali na hayo hakuna kitu amefanya. Bado ana ile utu wa kuja kusimama mbele ya watu wananchi aseme amefanya hii, ametimiza vovote vile majenzizi na wanakenya ambao wamejitokea nje kwa maandamano amefanya. Sasa ni jambo ipi alitimiza? Haya, bado hiyo anatuambia urongo right in front of our faces. Ya pili kwenye hiyo speech yake alisema ya kuwa wameniambia nije kwenye X nikaja na hawakuweko. And that for me raises a question mark. Alikuwa anatafuta nani? Maanake anasema ankuja kwenye X lakini wale aliwakujia hakuwapata. Sasa alikuwa anatafuta watu gani? Maanake Wakenya walikuwepo kwa hiyo space ingawaje mimi sikuenda. So alikuwa anatafuta nani? Hiyo ndio maswali mimi ninashangaa nayo. Ya pili, kuna mambo mengi ambayo yanaendelea ambao si si jambo nzuri, ambao hao wenye weko kwenye macheo wanataka kutenganisha Wakenya. Manake kuna toxicity mingi ambayo inaendelea, kama ni kwenye online, kama ni wapi, yani wanatafuta fitna ya kutenganisha Wakenya ambao wameungana mikono, manake wanataka a Kenya that delivers for everybody. Me, I would ask people and I would urge people, do not focus on those toxic conversation. Do not engage in them. Put your focus on wanting Ruto to go and getting this system totally fixed so it can deliver for everybody. Na hakuna mahali hakuna ufisadi. Paka wanyama wetu wa porini wameingiliwa. Paka our natural resources. This thing is deeper than anybody can imagine. And the beginning of correcting things starts with Ruto has to go. All these other things are sideshows. Let's focus and let's focus on the matter at hand, is fixing our system and Ruto going. If we are sidelines with all these toxics that are coming out and people focusing on people, we are not focused on anyone. We do not need those toxic. People would be watatumiwa threatening messages, wataambiwa mengi, and please, one thing, trust yourself and trust your gut instincts. There's a lot of people who have been bought na wamemagwa katikati ya watu wengine, ambaye anaweza kuwa mtu yoyote ambaye unamdhania ni mtu muungwana, lakini hujui hali yake ashabadilishwa, na tunaziona watu wengi wanatokea ambao wamebadilishwa. Hayo naambia mjitahadhari nayo. Asanteni.
Asante sana, Hannah Ali, and that's a very good point there. The language of this space is not only English but Swahili. So wale ambao wanataka kuongea Swahili, mmekaribishwa sana kuongea Swahili ya tubaguzi, na tunataka pia tuongee Swahili. Tujaribu iwe sanifu. Kama huwezi kuongea Swahili sanifu, pia unaweza ongea Sheng, nasi pia tupate kujifunza Sheng. Asanteni sana. But saizi tuenda kwa Kenyan Lady. Kenyan Lady, karibu sana.
Asante. Asante sana Maj, asante sana Hillary, na pia Dr. Miguna Miguna. Asanteni sana. So kitu cha kwanza ningetaka to address once and for all is a diaspora influence and diaspora input into the movement. And I want us to conclude on that here and now, because we don't need some of these conversations to be repeated over and over and over in every space. So this is what I want you to do, Maj, if you'd allow me, Maj and Hillary. Our question over the longest time has been, how do we do it? So the first thing that we have done, tumekuwa tukicontribute kwa Hanifa, for all our beloved heroes ambao wametuacha na wale wengine ambao mahospitalini na wenye tunatafuta. So we've been focusing that energy there. We need you guys to come up with another mchanga where diaspora can put their contributions there for everything else other than the medical and whatever Hanifa has been doing. I want us to have this conversation for the very, very last time, as far as, diaspora contribution. Please, can we do that? And can we agree to have that mchanga so that we have that focused area? And tuache kuleta, hii mandhari ya nini, ya diaspora. Let's have that as a focus when we come out of here, and then give us the mchanga and let us put our focus on it. The other thing that nataka kuongelea about diaspora is that we know very, very well that they are very, very big and major supporters of like Ruto and the current government in their diaspora, especially in the United States. And what I want to say is boycott. So what has been happening lately, kama kwa mfano, we do know very, very well that the officials of the CBK are here. Na wamekuwa wakicirculate for us who are community organizers. Wametupatia hata flyers, we circulate them around. They are looking for a way that, they can sell us treasury bills and treasury bonds. Like, all these things have been happening under our nose. We need to boycott these things as the diaspora. Our focus right now is to get our country. You remember the time for COVID, we were able to actually run institutions. Kenya was able to survive with our remittances, plus other subsidies that were done then. So boycott, boycott, boycott. There are so many activities that are going that are pro-government right now, and I will count them out one by one whenever I get a chance. But right now, it's not the time. I just want to highlight about the CPK governors who have been moving really, really slowly from one state to the other, continue to boycott. I know we have been boycotting kidogo kidogo hivi chini chini bila kuambia wengine, but let's pick up about this stuff. The other thing that I want to mention also, ambayo, it's common for us. Many of us have resources. We have invested at home. We have hospitals. Start treating people. Start using your ambulances to ferry people. Bring them in. Collaborate with us who have already been on the from the get-go. Donate hizo ambulances. I mean, come on, you guys, you know yourselves. Na wengine hata mnanisikiza hapa. That's the other way that we can contribute. We have invested over and up in Kenya, and this is the time to rise up and save our country. So hizo ambulances zenye tumeweka in our hospitals that we run, all those resources, the nurses, the whoever, all those resources, let's bring them up together as we have been doing. Today at least I was able to speak on the specifics. And then the other thing that ningetaka Daktari Miguna Miguna to respond to, the reason that we have seen the comeback of those corrupt leaders and CSS who have been put back is, number one, for voter suppression, and number two, to continue and murder our Kenyan Gen Zs, Kenyan young people as they picket, as they do whatever they're doing. So my main concern are those two things. And actually, for the voter registration and suppression of the IEBC, we know why those CSS were brought in there. Even if we are not waiting for 2027, we still need our children to have their IDs. We still need our kids to have the voters' cards. How do we move that forward, given that those people who are nominated back are supposed to suppress onto that length? Because kumbukeni, watoto wetu wanahitaji IDs. Watoto wetu wanahitaji voters card. Voters card may
Can you hear Kenyan lady? I cannot hear her anymore.
No, she disappeared.
I can't hear as well. Kenyan lady, can you hear?
to say thank you so much for the platform, Marge and Hillary and Dr. Miguna and Kings.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Go on, Kings.
Marge,
Yes, yeah.
maybe, I think Rocky Okari has been here for so long, and then Honorable Nyeko, also Professor Obert, I think something like that. They can go, and then Neto, I've seen you, karibu sana, Neto Agustin.
Thanks.
Yeah, maybe you can go now after those three.
Yeah, just a brief one, just a quick rebuttal. The point that Kenyan lady is bringing out about some people in the diaspora supporting the presidency, especially in the US, those are tenderpreneurs. They don't want to speak up, and they're only waiting for chances to cut deals. So when you're told that the eco levy, for the pads there, they want to really have the local manufacturing where we don't have those companies, it's because they've cut deals out there with the people who want to bring in those to come in to set up those companies. But as we wait, is it going to be? Are they going to be fast enough? So yes, we know that there are people who support not just the presidents but the current administration because of corruption. That's the unfortunate. Thing. And so if you look even at the past voting results of the diaspora, you know the trend how it went. That's the reason why even the current government and the last government do not want to to have diasporans actually vote, because they know that if diasporans would vote and even register, we would be really a force to reckon with. So yes, thanks for being very honest and talking about that. But I must also reassure you that even here in Germany, the tenderpreneurs are always just lying low. They can never speak up. At this point, I would like to have a diasporan who supports UDA or Kenya Kwanza come in and say, guys, I support them because of ABC. No, they will disappear. The only time you will see them is when the president is going to the US. As we speak, there's somebody who's even used their credit card to pay for Kenya Kwanza. He's not been paid, he's crying. But who the hell pays for a government? What are you buying? And actually, at this point, I'm going to tell the government not to pay back that money, because there's something he was buying, honestly. Yeah. And that, yeah, so that is the point. So those who are supporting, and they're even looking away when there's just injustice happening, it's just because they are profiting from the regime. That's the chiming in I wanted to put out there. Kingsman, whom did you cue next? And then I see Jerotich is back. Welcome on board. Kingsman? Yeah.
I think Jerotich can
Okay.
go because you had told, you had given her the mic, and then after Jerotich, Rokio, and then Honorable Nyeko, Professor
Okay.
Obat, and then you can give also Neto the
Thanks.
mic
Thanks.
now that he has been late.
Jerotich,
Yeah.
over to
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yeah, you can.
Very much to say just three quick points that I'd like to make. First of all, you know, in memoriam, all of those 51 plus Kenyans who have died in this cause, you know, we want to remember them. We want to honor their memory. We never want to forget them until justice is served, because this justice delayed is justice denied, and we're not seeing any justice. You know, I want to agree with General Miguna Miguna when he says focus must be single-minded. You know, if we straddle multiple agendas and follow conspiracies down various rabbit holes, we will be systematically picked out and picked apart. And this is what we are already seeing. You cannot ask someone, in this particular case, President Ruto, who has refused to implement the Constitution, to behave in a lawful manner. In fact, today when he spoke out in Bomet, when you hear him speak like that, to change public opinion and begin to actually nod in agreement when our young people are killed, picked out and shot dead. You know, Dada Mkawasi, you said a while ago, not on this particular space, that we need to understand and know our mission, wherein our ideals lie, and thereafter our strategies and our tactics. And in this particular case, I'm fully with Dr. Miguna Miguna when he says Ruto must go. If we say we want to do this, you know, reject the recycled CSS, do this, do that, we're going to have a litany of requests and woes, and we're expecting somebody who has refused to implement the constitution except extremely selectively to behave in a lawful manner. So we must stick to the mission that Ruto must go. Now, I just also want to say that brutality is on the rise. I walked alongside LSK last Monday, tracking the illegal arrests and seeing what happened to our young people. The snail pace of this injustice system is utterly, utterly shocking. And the sheer brutality of the crackdown really completely, amazed me. And I said, this regime is nowhere near stopping. And in fact, all of those 109 Gen Zs who are charged with being drunk and disorderly, for heaven's sake, I looked at them and I said, these are our children. I'm the mother of Gen Zs. And I say they have been beaten. They were limping. They were struggling.